Greetings. In this 10 minutes lecture, I will be covering a specific quantitative analysis problem that I have been assigned. Now, in order to maximize our time, I have selected to write the problem and a paraphrase form of it in writing, and I will put it on the board, and you can zoom and pause for your reference. And also to further simplify arithmetic arithmetic calculations, I have selected to work to use a metric system. So let me now go to the arithmetic calculation of this problem, if I may. I will zoom that one for you and stay out of way. Okay. Now the circumference of the Earth, let's call it, rather than equator, is 40,000 kilometers, all right? It's a 40,000 kilometers. And look what I have written, because I'm using dimensional analysis to change the kilometer into centimeter. And the reason I'm doing that, because I want to avoid any kind of decimal, working with decimal. You will see that when I proceed for that. So here, 40 times 10 to the 3 kilometer equals to 40 times 10 to the 3 kilometer. A equals to A is what is the property of equality that we call it reflexive property of equality. Now, then we know that 1 is identity for multiplication, meaning that any number times 1, the identity of that number is not changed. That's the reason they call it identity for multiplication. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this equal to this. Is that right? By what? By reflexive property. Now, 10 to the 3 meter over 1 kilometer is 1. That's a skinny bar. I call it a skinny bar. Because 1 kilometer, if I take the denominator out, I can replace it with 10 to the 3, and 10 to the 3 over 10 to the 3 meter, both of them, is equal to 1. So I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm multiplying this one by 1. But the reason I do that, because look what happens. The kilometer and kilometer, they cancel each other. Now I'm left with meter. Is that right? But the purpose is to change it into centimeter. So I go one step further. And the step further that I go is 10 to the 2 centimeter is in 1 meter. Again, this is 1. I'm multiplying by 1. And now look what happens. Meter and meter, they cancel each other. So I'm left with centimeter. Now look, I'm working now with powers of 10. And look how beautiful it comes out. So it ends up to be 40 times 3, 6, and 2, 8. So 40 times 10 to the 8, what centimeter is equal to 40 times 10 to the 3 kilometer. You follow me so far? Okay, I put that one in right. What I just said, I put it in right hand. Now, he says, the problem says that it goes around the circumference of the earth 300 times. So 300 is a factor, has no unit. So I multiply this one by 300, that is the number of centimeters that the utensils, if you glue them end to end together, they will go around the circumference of the earth this number of times. So that is in centimeter, 120 times 10 to the 10 centimeters, which is a really huge number. Okay, now, as I mentioned in the, let me bring it up. As I mentioned here, that the average utensils, cutlery was to be 15 centimeter. And as a matter of fact, I measured that one before I write it. Now I divided this one, this number by 15. To see what? To see 15 centimeter. To see how many number of single cutlery I will have. You follow me? Because each cutlery is what? Each of the spoons or fork or knife is 15 centimeter, plastic is 15 centimeter long. Now look what happens, centimeter and centimeter, they cancel each other, so I'm left with a pure number. And that is the number of what? Number of utensils, of single utensils, not because I divided by one of them, not three, because the problem indicates three of them. You follow me so far? So now I go to the next, if I may. Again, my apology, I don't have access to a board to do that on the board for you. Okay. Now let me cover this one. This is from just previous, or is that right? I multiplied this one by, why did I multiply by 3? Because that's what the problem is saying. He says knives, forks, and spoons. So there are 3 of them. So I multiply this number by 3. So that will be the number of knife, forks, and what? And spoons. Total number of utensils that is discarded each year, according to the given problem. You follow me so far? Okay, now I go to this one. Now I divide this one, this number, which is a pure number, by the population of the of America, which in the given problem was 340 million. So when I divide it, that is the number of utensils per each American residence. So it ends up to be 706. You follow me so far? And now, because, now look what happens here, I have written this one. This is the number of utensils or cutleries, which is what, forks, spoons, and knives, that are discarded by American by each person, per year. That is per year. So if I divide this one by 365, that will be per day. Is that right? Now look what happens. I divide by 365, and I end up with 1.9, which I approximate that to be 2. 2 what? 2 spoons or forks or 2 spoon forks or knives. Is that right? Now, let me zoom back and say a few words. No, the original problem that was given to us, that goes around the circumference of the Earth for 300 times, seems to be a bit exaggeration. But our numerical calculation indicates the assertion that we made from that was more realistic. But also we have to take under consideration that about utensils that they are talking about is all the restaurants or the school cafeteria, airlines, all of them, they use plastic utensils, and they discard it naturally after that. So it seems the assertion was correct according to the given problem. Now, I also have the conclusion of that, again, because of the constraint of the time, I have put it in writing rather than say it in board. I will put it on the board, and then that will be the conclusion of this lecture. So I hope that it was sufficient, this lecture, and it was to your satisfaction. I thank you very much for the opportunity, and I wish you all prosperity and good health always. Thank you.